Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate broker Anian Pettit, Tunney, of the Grubb Company based out of Oakland, California. Personifying sophistication and excellence in the East Bay real estate market, Anian has been recognized as a top producer in Piedmont and Oakland with annual sales volume ranging upwards of $50 million for over a decade. She is a businesswoman of consummate elegance and grace with in-depth knowledge of the market, the real estate community, and strategies for client success in buying and selling homes. She builds confidence and trust naturally through her warm, genuine manner and brings community expertise, clarity, sophistication, and sound judgment to her clients as well. Generous with her time and wisdom, she is accountable in all ways and skilled in her knowledge about relevant steps to success, resourceful, and energetic. She is very well respected in the brokerage community, and she is simply one of the finest real estate professionals in the country. Describing herself as a personal real estate representative, she feels her responsibility is to help her clients make financially sound and personally satisfying real estate decisions. She consults with her clients regularly on every aspect of the transaction and looks forward to anticipating and exceeding their expectations. She chose teaching as her first career choice, although she also spent 7 years as a stunt woman in the film industry, working in films such as Grease and Annie. All right, with all that said, Anian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
We're certainly glad you're able to take time here with us today. And if you could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
Well, Keith, I sort of stumbled into it. I grew up in the Bay Area and ended up at USC at college, and actually went into the movie business and was a stunt car driver for about 6 years. And then my husband was transferred back up to San Francisco, and the movie business did not have a foothold up here at that time. And so being a fifth-generation Piedmontian, I knew quite a few people here, and I thought it was something I might like to do. And so, but it's become my passion. But I must say I sort of fell into it.
It certainly seems like most people we've interviewed on the show, and in general, it seems like even though that real estate, as you know, is a rewarding career. I mean, you get to help so many people, put people in homes that maybe they didn't think they could get into, and obviously, you know, financially, it's rewarding to you, you know, by all the hard work that you do. But if you were to go to a child and you know, a 6 or 8 year old, what do you want to be when you grow up? Most kids aren't going to say, I want to be a real estate agent.
No.
You know,
it's one of the jobs that having some gray hair is an attribute. And because you do gain wisdom, I believe, being a little older. When I had my second child, I used to take her around in her car seat when I was showing houses. And I think most mothers, most fathers would rather wait until their children are grown before getting into the business.
Can you talk a little bit about what personal attributes or traits or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
Well, I'm very tenacious and competitive, I must say. I also tend to have a lot of patience, though, with people because I'm empathetic to everybody's story. And everybody has a different set of circumstances and a different story. They might be selling or buying for happy reasons or stressful reasons, but I really hang in there with them almost all the time. I don't think I have ever fired a client. You know, we've had our moments, but most of the time I'm really empathetic with them. And I come from a place of honesty. I'm very optimistic, and I've been that way my whole life, a lot of optimism.
Excellent. And do you think maybe you could give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path towards success?
Oh, sure. You know, being here in the Bay Area, it's a very hot market, and I listed a house not too long ago in the Oakland Hills, which is very desirable. And it was an older home, but beautiful, a Tudor. And the sellers had a certain expectation of price, and we went with it. And we came on the market in February, and it didn't sell and didn't sell. And they were getting terribly frustrated, and we actually went 3 months with being open every weekend, and this house didn't sell, and it was $2.5 million. And we finally did some restaging and did some new newspaper articles, etc., and reduced the price, and we finally got a couple of buyers in, but it was a long haul, and I could have given up on them, but I didn't. And, it's all about price, basically, in our market. But usually homes don't take that long to sell here. But, yeah, I was pretty tenacious in that example.
Excellent. And obviously when anybody has success and they build a business over time, it's not always a smooth and perfect path to get there. So can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities or the trials that you had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
It's difficult when you deal with friends. And if you run into a problem with friends, it seems to be more difficult than with more of a business relationship. And however, I've been able to keep my relationships with my friends who are also my clients very much businesslike, and they appreciate it. For example, if we're out at a party or something, I never talk to my clients about business or their house. I just don't think it's appropriate. So I think it's good to keep those two relationships separate, and they appreciate it.
Excellent. And I guess when you do have an adversity or an obstacle, what keeps you going? Why don't you give up on things? What's your driving force?
Well, I never give up, ever. We're fortunate enough here at the Grubb Company to have excellent on-site management all the time. And I've been in the business for 33 plus years, and most problems I can handle myself, but it's gratifying to know that I can go to management if something goes sideways. What you don't want to do is to have a problem get out of control and have it become bigger than it should be. So I'm sure most real estate agents are familiar with throwing in some of their commission to, smooth the waters. There are a number of things we can do, but I, at all costs, want to avoid acrimony and bad feelings. And I've never been sued, and that's unusual for a real estate agent or broker. And I think if you can just keep things going forward and don't let any problem get to a crisis, you can always solve it.
Excellent. And I guess kind of looking forward, what is your vision for your career and your business, say, over the next 5 years?
I want to keep going. For me, it's not a job because I love it. And so every morning I get up, I just can't wait to go to work. And my daughter is my assistant, and so she works with me, and I'm delighted to have her coming into the business with me. And part of me wants to make sure that she gets well launched here, but I also just love it. I just love the business, and I don't think I'm too old yet to stay in it, but I love helping people and helping them find their dream home and running into them in the grocery store and having them say, "Oh, thank you so much. Our children are so happy in school here," and this and that. That's very gratifying.
And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so you can have continual growth?
Well, our communities here are fairly small, Piedmont, Oakland, Berkeley. I am quite involved with the Piedmont Educational Foundation in terms of donating money and supporting them for the schools. I have belonged to Piedmont Beautification, which supports parks and so forth in this area, and I've been on the Park Commission here. So, and I also give back a lot monetarily to all the causes here in this area. So I think I'm pretty well known in terms of, I'm really happy to help these organizations, and there are plenty of them, but I stay out there by giving.
Excellent. And I think when it comes to real estate agents, sometimes there's a lot of misconceptions or myth that people just don't understand everything that you bring to the table and the full value that you provide when you offer your services either for a seller or a buyer.
Right.
But I guess from a buyer standpoint, from a seller standpoint, I know that there's a lot that goes into that transaction. So from that standpoint, what do you think the biggest misconception that sellers have about working with real estate agents?
Well, as in anything, when you've been doing something a long time, it looks easy. It's not. And I think sellers and buyers, too, just think that we rake in the money and it's so easy and this and that. It couldn't be farther from the truth. This is a tough business. And what do they say? 20% of the agents do 80% of the business or something like that. If you're in it full time, it is more than a full-time job. You get calls at night. It's a full-time job. You're sort of like a doctor, always on call.
And let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend, and they're in another state, and they want to sell their home. Now, obviously, with all your experience and connections, you probably could do a referral. You could look up somebody for them. But from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs? Kind of how you talked about serving your clients. What would you tell them to look for in an agent?
Well, I think it's like anything else. I think you have to, it's kind of three-pronged. I would get referrals from friends. I would almost always use a local realtor who knows the market, and I would interview people because it's not only just the agent, but it's the company behind them, and they're good companies and not so good companies, and you want to know what that agent is going to provide for you from an advertising standpoint, all kinds of things. So I would say stay local. For example, I would never, well, not never, but I would rarely think about selling a house myself in an area that I didn't know because I would feel that I wasn't doing my client a good service coming into an area that was unknown to me. There are just so many nuances in every marketplace. Where I live, there's a difference between one side of the street and the other in terms of value. And when you're in that market, you know those things. So that would be my advice. Interview and stay local.
Excellent. Now, what specific, obviously you're based out of Oakland, California, but what specific area do you cover as a real estate broker?
I cover Piedmont, which is it is a small community. There are only 10,000 people, and we're actually completely surrounded by Oakland. And Oakland gets a bad rap, but it shouldn't. There are lovely, lovely areas of Oakland and Berkeley, of course. So that's the area that I specifically cover. And what's happening now, because San Francisco and the Peninsula and Marin have become so expensive with $1,200-$1,400 a square foot, we're getting a lot of people coming this direction because we are basically half that. And so there is a lot of movement coming to the East Bay, and it's great. It's very invigorating.
Excellent. And obviously, if somebody's looking in that area, what's the best way they can get more information about you and how you can help them?
We have a website, and it's aniantunney.com, ANIANTUNNEY.com, and that's probably the best way to contact me.
Excellent. Well, Anian, we want to obviously thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share your professional real estate experience with all of our listeners. And if you want to learn more about Anian, you can obviously visit her site, like she said. Also, below this interview, we'll have a link to her site and any other contact information we have so that you'll be able to get all the information you need to see if you guys are a good fit to work together. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.